Hey guys, what's up? This is GaLm, and I am going to be talking about the War Z and all the ridiculous controversy that's kind of surrounding it. Now, I say this because a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people in my comment sections are calling War Z out on stuff that really doesn't sound like it should be called out on for. Now, I'm not trying to say that War Z is some kind of perfect child that should always be protected and never be stained with the words of others. No. I definitely think that DayZ and War Z, actually DayZ and War Z, we're going to talk about both of them. But War Z is definitely something that should be given a chance because, well, I find it fun, and since I find it fun, you should respect my opinion. And, because it's a game that's in development for a genre that hasn't really seen a hell of a lot of attention, and that's the zombie survival genre. DayZ and War Z, currently the only ones on the field that are like, hey yo, zombie survival, you want to rumble in it's like that. And we have to respect that because not only are they the first, they're both incomplete. So we have to acknowledge that they're both incomplete before we go completely full-on retard. Full-on debate mode between the two. What's similar? What's different? Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be touched upon because obviously there are things that aren't going to be changed in between now and the DayZ standalone and the War Z fully released. Like, War Z is going to have slow zombies. That's something that seems like it's always going to stay there. DayZ's going to have fast zombies. Seems like something that's always going to be there. You don't want to change the core of stuff. But continuing on, what is the major amounts of debates being thrown at War Z? Well, viewers, I'm glad that I asked myself that. Scam, ripoff, copy, blatant copy. Now, those are all a bunch of words being thrown at it. Bad, pile of shit. Another set of words that are being thrown at it. And I'm not really seeing a whole lot of other words supporting that. Now, with my opinions having been adjusted by watching a couple of videos where people said that the game is a scam and they tried justifying it, I realized that some people are very idiotic and should not be allowed to play video games or touch YouTube again, but we're going to let that stand. Now, these people have stated that War Z is a scam because of its existence, pretty much. And why do I say this? Because War Z, a few months ago, was announced as a free-to-play zombie survival MMO. Obviously, with DayZ being as popular as it is, obviously it's just trying to cash in on that, and it's not going to actually be a real thing. They're just trying to garner attention. Well, we got shitloads of screenshots, a whole bunch of videos, and a hell of a lot of interviews later. Now we have the alpha, which shows that the game is not a scam. Now, the problem is that even with the alpha's release, even with all the patches that they've done, all the polishing that the game has received in the last 2 weeks it's been out, there are still people calling it out and saying that it's a scam. Now, we could touch on the subject of people calling the game bad, but that's personal opinion territory. We'll try to avoid that a little bit. But for now, we're saying, how do you perceive the word scam? We will Google the word scam right now, but in my opinion, a scam is something that basically takes something like something of value like money, your money, and then doesn't deliver what it was promised. And the first definition I'm getting on Google is scam, a dishonest scheme / a fraud. The verb is swindle. You got swindled. No one got swindled in this except for people who somehow had the belief that the War Z alpha was going to be anything that it wasn't said in the hundreds of interviews. Well, maybe not hundreds, but the tons of hundreds. Or not even hundreds. I just said hundreds again. The tons of interviews, screenshots, and videos that came out before the alpha, you should have been paying attention to that before you bought the game. And it's kind of basic gaming knowledge that you want to check out a game and see what it's going to be like before you buy it. And that's kind of how come I avoid a lot of not AAA targets, because sometimes they're just a little bit meh. But sometimes a lot of indie games are good. You just have to look it up. Now, with that being said, they touch on War Z, they play the alpha, and then they either have a bad experience or they're too far along in their DayZ fanboying that they can't see that what they bought is what was promised. A zombie survival MMO that was in its alphas and is still in its alpha as of me recording this video, that's going to have a lot of problems. So they either talk a lot about the problems or they talk about their bad experience, and some of these bad experiences are silly. Like, one of them had a problem, and people say this in my comment section too, so I'm not going to constantly call out other YouTubers, but some people will be like, oh, I hit a zombie like 30 times and he didn't die. Meanwhile, they're not actually aiming at the head. They're aiming at the chest piece. I died within 5 minutes because I ran at a zombie with my flashlight and he killed me. Yeah, well, that's because you have probably the attention span of a 2-year-old when the game says, aim for the head. It's not War Z is a game that tries to embrace a little bit of regular zombie information, and hitting people and hitting things in the head should be something known. I knew about this way back on the first interview. They even said it in like one of the first interviews that our zombies, you have to hit them in the head. Nowhere else does it count. See? And if you don't know this, you scammed yourself. The game developers didn't scam you. Buying the game didn't scam you. You scammed your own brain into thinking that it was something that it wasn't. And I think that's something that has to be acknowledged by people who have this view set, who watch these videos and go, wow, they must be right. They had a bad experience in a video game. It's a scam. It took their money. Rah, rah, rah. Give them a refund. No. Bad. Now, I'm not saying people should not get refunds if they didn't find the game as an enjoyable experience, but they shouldn't try and slanderize the name of War Z by saying it's such. And that's how I feel about the scam part. Now, on to another section of what people consider War Z to be. A lot of people see War Z as a cash-in cow trying to ride the wave that is the popularity of DayZ, a rushed mod from War Inc. that had zombies slapped into it, and that was all, and they're trying to sell that to us. Now, there's some parts in that I can see as maybe it's true, maybe it's not. However, there's a point where games all do that. Unless something is the very, very, very first of its kind, it's most likely ripping off something, even if it's not intending to. Now, we're gonna go and give people the benefit of the doubt. We're gonna say that the War Z developers did intend to ride the cash wave that is people liking the zombie survival genre, the zombie survival MMO genre. And I'm kind of sitting here going, does that matter? Now, an example I have is pretty much all MMOs in existence, and maybe even games, but we're going to say MMOs. World of Warcraft. Big title. Big title. Millions and millions of people playing it. Other MMOs come out, have a lot of similar features, don't end up doing all that well. People go back to World of Warcraft, and people generally herald World of Warcraft as the end-all, be-all game, or that all MMO developers should aim for. At least in terms of trying to get money. But the thing to remember about World of Warcraft is that World of Warcraft is based upon systems that already existed before it came out, such as EverQuest. EverQuest was another big MMO before World of Warcraft, and that's what I'm trying to say here. DayZ is not the Holy Grail, and War Z is also not the Holy Grail, and as such, both of them should be taken in with realistic gamer expectations, which is, I'm going to play a game or a mod, and it's going to have zombies in it, there's going to be a bunch of players, it's going to be a giant map, I should head into it and hope for the best. Not, okay, well, this game is in alpha, and it needs to be the most polished goddamn thing ever in comparison to the DayZ mod, which has been out for lots of months. on this very first day. It better beat that mod, or it's a scam. It's a ripoff. Ugh. But it's really not, because let me delve into what I think a ripoff is, and then we'll give you the definition of a ripoff. Ripoff definition. In my opinion, what is a ripoff? My definition of a ripoff is pretty much the same thing as a scam, and pretty much Google agrees with me, but pretty much everybody else is kind of putting ripoff in the field of copying something. And the problem with games and the word copying and the word generic, the word ripoff, is that in general, they take the basic concept of the idea and then they rework it or they make it themselves. And that's kind of how War Z is. Here we are with the zombie survival MMO genre coming out and being realized as something that people like. And as soon as War Z comes around, they're like, DayZ is the end-all game. And you see how this is kind of similar with World of Warcraft? It's the end-all game, and that War Z is ripping it off and trying to steal everything by having things that are the same, but at the same time different. It's ripping it off. And that doesn't really make sense to me, because War Z actually has quite a bit of a lot of different factors from DayZ. Some of these things are part of the controversy, but the very basic thing in War Z and DayZ, for example, is, say, zombies. Zombies in War Z are the slow, shambling type that you have to hit in the head to kill, no matter what. Zombies in DayZ are the fast, ragey kind of type that kind of have animation issues because of the mod, but we're not gonna go against that. They rush at you, and you can shoot them in the toe, and they'll die quickly, and that's the kind of zombies that they are. So you can shoot them, you can take on a good number of them by shooting them in the chest or the head or whatever you want to aim at them. And that's the kind of zombies that DayZ has, the kind of zombies that War Z doesn't have, and that's already different. Yeah, they have zombies, but the very fucking same zombies aren't the same. There you go. Game's not a ripoff. Thank you very much. That's all there is to that little subject. But not really, because people are still going to call it a ripoff because of, well, the genre. Zombie survival genre. What is the zombie survival genre? Now, I'm going to delve into this in another video, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a spark note of a too long didn't listen kind of thing. Zombie survival genre basically means what it says. You have zombies, you have a health system that has hunger, food, and you try and survive by getting food and water and all these different things to keep your character alive. And that is a genre that has been touched on a couple of times, but not in an MMO setting such as DayZ and War Z. Now, some people might argue that DayZ isn't really an MMO because it never really declared itself as an MMO, but it's most definitely an MMO. All right? So, it's got hundreds of players playing it in one server. It's an MMO. Hell, you know, I even consider if there's more than 30, 40 people in one map, MMO. That's my viewpoint. But, yeah, you have this, so they're going to share similarities. And you know what? I kind of hope that they do. I want more games to come out for DayZ and that are similar to DayZ or War Z, because the zombie genre, the zombie survival MMO genre has like fuck all in it. We have DayZ and War Z, and the moment that a second title, War Z, comes out, we have a lot of people who are hating it. Don't be haters. All right? Don't be instigators. Oh, no. I'm trying to rhyme here, but that's not working. Okay, so, yeah. Let me back up. Is War Z a ripoff due to the similarities to DayZ? No, it is not a ripoff. It is its own game. It is independent of DayZ. It didn't take any models from DayZ. It didn't take any coding from DayZ. It really didn't do much, so not a ripoff. Now, on the topic of taking things, because I just remember this, the League of Legends terms of service. When the alpha was first released, they kind of copy and pasted the League of Legends terms of service, which is a bit of a silly thing. But I think it should be forgiven because not only have they written their own terms of service now, but it should also be forgiven because while it is a bit of a really weird thing for them to do, terms of service is not really something that's completely original in the first place. It's pretty much, hey, don't take this and do this with it, and don't say this and don't do that, and we have the right to do this to your account. Congratulations, you've just had all terms of services for every single game ever. Oh well. They've fixed their issue. I think we should get off that. People shouldn't ride that wave a little bit long, as some people have, because yeah, people are still going, lol, they ripped off the League of Legends terms of service. Yeah, but it's not like they released the game and had it. It's an alpha. Let's think some things slide. And things that another thing that should be let slid or let pass by because it's an alpha, the developers cheating. I'm going to go with air quotes because we don't actually have any proof that the developers cheated. We have audio of developers, supposedly developers, saying that they want to cheat in their game. And for all I know, it could have been people talking about Daisy with words reworded or something. And I'll be the first one to admit that I didn't listen to the audio, but still, until I get video proof of the Daisy developers flying around, all I can see is that they heard the Daisy developers saying that they wish they could cheat. And you know what? I think that on a daily basis. Man, I wish I could spawn myself a shotgun and shoot that bandit who just killed me. Man, I wish I could be invincible so spawn killers don't kill me. Those are all just basic things that, I mean, even a regular player will say. And I think it's good that a developer thinks that out loud. Like, fuck, I wish I had an M16. Maybe I should spawn one. And then if they do, and if they don't, it's not really a big deal. Because, again, one, it's alpha. Two, they're a developer. A lot of developers in MMOs have characters that are fuckload harder to kill than the regular people. Have you ever played Matrix Online? Probably not. Well, the Matrix Online developers made it a fucking event for them to be killed with overpowered characters. And that is kind of funny. Obviously, you don't want that in a shooter, but that's not the point. Let's move off of that. What else could be debated and tackled? The maturity levels of developers. Sergey, who is I believe one of the lead developers of War Z, I think he called spawn campers faggots. And people are riding him on that. And I have to facepalm because the same people who call him unprofessional and bash on him for saying the word faggot do it on a daily basis. And I'm saying on Twitter they'll say faggots or they'll say faggots in a video. I say it sometimes. And I don't mean it in the insulting way. It's just a word. And I think it's actually good that, again, developers are human and that they have their grievances. And Sergey, a developer, has his grievances against player killers. So, hey, at least we have that. Now, I kind of rambled on, and now we're at the 18-minute mark, which is my bad. But I'm going to hope I touched on the subject of the controversy, at least everything I've seen so far. That's what people are saying. This wasn't supposed to be a War Z versus DayZ thing comparison, because I'm saving that for another time when War Z and DayZ are both actually complete. Because as of yet, they're an alpha. Both of them are an alpha. And War Z or DayZ is even taking a step back by going, okay, well, War Z mod is getting or DayZ mod's getting worked on, but we're doing a standalone, and that's an alpha. But we're not gonna release until December. That kind of stuff. Ooh. I almost missed this topic. Thank you for reminding me. The subject of the name, and this is kind of going back to the rip-off subject. People are really aggravated that War Z is called War Z and DayZ is called DayZ. Why? Because, well, they think that since DayZ is DayZ and is super popular, other games of the same genre should not have War Z or have the Z in their name. And that's silly to me because off the top of my head, Dead Island, Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead, that's a lot of games with dead in it. No one really calling those out for being ripoffs. Although Dead Island did actually get called a ripoff of Left 4 Dead because it has 4-player co-op, and that's another time. That's a subject for another time. Gamers in general love to call things ripoffs. I think I've even called it a shit ripoff, but I don't know. The controversy between War Z and DayZ at the moment should kind of be alleviated. Why? Because both of them are not only in alpha, but they're the first of their field, the first of the zombie survival MMO genre, and I think that this field should be expanded upon, so that when I look in the past 5 years later, I can go, or when I look when I'm in the future 5 years from now and go, man, War Z was a pretty decent game and DayZ was, but I think I like DayZ 2, or I like War Z 2, or some other game, some other zombie survival game, like Dead Linger. Dead Linger looks kind of nice, but we're not going to talk about Dead Linger. All these different things. I want to be able to look in the past and go, these are the basis of the games, and it had a pretty solid run. No more haters, okay? Well, I mean, you're allowed to hate the game. Just hate it for more reasons besides it's a scam. It's a ripoff, okay? Oh, and on the subject of money, you have to buy Arma for $20 to $30 to play DayZ, and the standalone is probably going to be $15 to $30 too. So before you say that War Z is a ripoff because of the price, girl, that's me trying to snap. Girl, you best calm yourself down before you wreck yourself. Okay, I'm going to end because I'm hungry. I've been trying to record this for like 7 hours. And, yeah. I will debate with you guys in the comment section belowhand if you want to say anything. So, hey, hit it up. Eventually, I will be doing a War Z and DayZ comparison thing, and I'll try not to be bashing on either of them because they have their pluses. They both have their pluses, they both have their cons, and that's all there is to it. So, peace out, people. I'll see you guys next time.